Hello and welcome to the Smart Chiropractor Show. This takes place each and every Tuesday afternoon. I'm Dr. Jeff Langmaid here with my co-host, Dr. Jason Deitch. We're part of the Smart Chiropractor team, and the Smart Chiropractor Show is all about improving not only your mindset, but a little bit of clinical skills, some marketing, business strategy, and a whole bunch of guest interviews mixed in as well. So we have a lot of fun. We're going to encourage you to continue to tune in each and every Tuesday. Comment down below. Let us know what you love. Let us know what you'd love to hear about in the future, and we'll make sure to put it on the agenda. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's the beginning of January 2022. You kind of can't believe it. It's 1/11, 1/11/22. Something good's got to happen with all these sort of synergistic numbers. But I'm doing great, and I'm excited for another terrific Smart Chiropractor show for all of you smart chiropractors.
All right, Jason, we're talking mindset, and this was surprisingly one of the number one topics that the docs in our Smart Chiropractor group requested that we speak about this year. And last week, we've talked a bit about sort of setting the stage for this year. We're in the beginning of the year. It's a great time to kind of take inventory, get your mindset right, work on it. And I thought a great piece to talk on today would be around the concept of be, do, have. This is something I know you've studied a lot about, spoken a lot about, and I'd love to have you just kick us off with, when I say be, do, have, what do I mean? Set a little context, and then we can talk down exactly how docs can implement this upstairs for their own betterment this year.
It is such an important question. I've had the privilege of working with some of the smartest, best personal growth and development coaches, managers, individuals, those in the profession, those outside of the profession, personal performance, human success, how to live your best life has been something that I've been studying personally since my early teens. And for the most part, I don't know why everybody's not studying this. How to enjoy your life, how to be successful and define success for yourself is, to me, probably the most important topic you could ever study and want to learn more about. And these three words really do, oversimplify and yet simplify the totality of sort of the bigness of this idea. And be, do, have is the correct order, which is opposite from the way most people in the world have learned about life, success, call it achievement, call it what you want. And so the way most people think about it simply is that they go, well, when I have blank, when I have the number of people I want to see in my practice, when I have the perfect spouse, when I have the perfect job, when I have the perfect income, revenue, when I have my bills paid off, when I have my loans paid off, when I have this, then I will be successful. Then I will be happy. Then I will be generous. When I have, then I will be. And that is exactly opposite that just about every success guru throughout history will teach you. Because the simple reason and sort of explanation for it is that you could have 10 people do, right? That's the operative word in between. Do the exact same things and get 10 different outcomes. And so the idea that if I do this, then I will be successful once I have these outcomes is backwards, because it's not primarily about the doing. Okay. So these are subtle, nuanced conversations, because of course you got to do something. Right? Success doesn't happen without action. We talk about that all the time. But the reverse cause and effect is understanding that certain types of outcomes happen to certain types of people. And I don't just mean certain types of people in terms of who they are. I mean certain types of people in terms of how they're showing up. So it's not just prejudice to, well, if you're this color or that color, this race or that race or whatever, but it's how you show up. Am I showing up with full effort? Am I showing up with sincere kindness? Am I showing up with generosity in my heart? And doing things with that spirit, that will create, then you will have a different outcome than if you show up frustrated, resentful, entitled, uh, you know, exhausted. There's just different ways in which people show up when they do these things. And so, the main thing to really sort of start off with, the main learning lesson is understanding the simple saying that who I am determines how well what I do works. And again, that doesn't mean who you are as in, well, I was born this way. It means who I am showing up as. What spirit am I showing up with? What intention am I showing up with? Am I showing up in my practice to get as much as I can out of the insurance companies and out of each every patient and get as many referrals, get as much money, get as much out of your staff? Or are you showing up with a spirit of generosity and giving? I'm here to share and give as much information as I possibly can. I'm here to share and be here to serve as many people as I possibly can. I'm here to help share and serve my team and my staff to build them up so that they can be the best versions of themselves, knowing that it's in my best interest if my team shows up with as much growth and positive attitude and energy as they possibly can, and spreading that and so on and so on. So that really is one of the most important topics. It's super simple. You really kind of can't forget it. Be, do, have is the way to go. Don't confuse it with have, do, be. When I have this, then I'll do these things and then I'll be successful. So play with that, everyone, for a little while. Try to, figure out, I know people are going to want to challenge it because it seems so natural. When I have the lottery winnings in my account, then I will be nice and do those things that I should be doing, and then I will be successful. And if you look at history and you look at examples, it just doesn't seem to work that way. What comes up for you on that, Jeff?
Jason, you're 100% correct. This was one of those early touchstones, I want to say, when I started studying personal development years ago and really set the stage. And, for me, I think a lot of it comes down to, I think about, when I have this, I'll be happy, right? I think we all fall into sort of that trap when in reality, and when you really think about it, and if you start really observing people around you that either are successful, maybe they even do have some of those material things, you'll find that a lot of them sort of were the person without, they might not have had the items, but they were still that person. They were being, right? And then that led to the doing. Maybe that was making that extra connection, taking that extra step. Maybe it was taking a risk. Maybe it was walking away from a risk, whatever it might be. They started to do those things because they were being that person. And there's a million or many different that persons, right? And that's the beauty of it. And then you see the result, which is the have, right? Then they have either the happiness, they have the thing, they have whatever that may be. And when I started to look at that, deeper and really analyze and say, gosh, how do the loops in my own head play out? Number one, that can be a little scary at times, but number two, that's a great realization to come to and to be aware of, because the first step is just being aware of it. Once you're aware of those different loops that you have playing in your head, so to speak, or the challenges that you face with your mindset, then you can start. Nothing changes in necessarily 1 second or 1 day for many people, but it's a process and an evolution, and continuing to evolve your own thoughts, continuing to understand it more, and most importantly, having that reinforcement. That's why we lead off every one of these shows with the mindset segment, is because it's about reinforcement over time. And just like we say with marketing, consistency is the number one predictor of success. With mindset and personal development, the same things hold true. You have to fill up your tank, so to speak. And sometimes that might be rah-rah, sometimes that might be super low-key, but either way, whatever resonates with you, it's about continuing to strive for a deeper understanding, continuing to try to be a little bit better each day, And then miraculously, guess what? You'll notice that you start doing those things that lead you on the path you want to get to, and you end up having, whether it is, again, material or non-material items, that start to come to fruition. And it's over the course of time, there's just no question in my mind that this is one of those universal truths, and that what you put out into the universe inevitably does come back to you in some way, shape, or form. So showing up every day and being the best chiropractor you can be, being the best clinician, being the best empathetic connector, being the best at even at times, I'm going to say, in the business and marketing of your business, is a really, really good thing, because as you start to focus, you put time, attention, effort, energy, and focus to an area, you will inevitably see that grow and flourish. So those are my big thoughts on mindset for this week. Jason, any closing thoughts on mindset?
I just think one of the most important things to do, and again, I'm so grateful that there were so many people that responded in our group with like, you know what, it's all great, you're giving us all this terrific marketing stuff and it's working well, but getting our heads straight is the difference. I've had money, I've not had money, and your mind is the main common denominator you've got to make sure you stay well with, because you can have all these things and still be miserable, and you can have nothing and be happy. And we've all probably had tastes of both of those. So the number one thing I think I want to recommend as we sort of close up this segment is that our minds are fertile, that they are always working, literally, even when we're sleeping, our minds are dreaming and doing what they do. And the number one thing you can probably make sure you want to do if you're going to continue to want to go down this journey and path is to keep feeding your mind positive things. It's not an idea that you understand and then you go, got it, and then you can go back to doing whatever you do. It is a moment-to-moment practice. And the best way to keep getting good at this is reading or watching or listening to those things that keep you inspired. So whether it's your Bible, whether it's your favorite inspirational, motivational speaker, whether it's yourself for that matter. Sometimes you say things and you can record yourself, your positive affirmations, whatever it may be, but continually feeding your own mind positive energy, positive mindset, positive focus and outcomes really is probably the number one most important thing you can do to make sure you keep your mind and your life on the path you want it to go on.
That is right. You could say everything starts and ends with mindset, because it's a continual loop, and that's how we experience what goes on around us and ultimately our entire life experience. So today's take-home message: be, do, have. Think about how you think about things. Take a moment, reflect, maybe write a few things down, and tune in next week for our next Mindset Mentor segment. Now we will be going to clinical conversations, and we have a great continuation of a topic from last week on today's episode. Clinical conversations. Jason, we got ourselves side by side right now, and we are going to showcase a video that we started last week, but I thought we were getting right to the real science of it, the real clinical aspects. This is with our friend Dr. Alyson Evans over at Fringe. They're doing some super interesting things in the CBD space to start, and they intend on expanding out from that as well to really human performance. So I wanted to take a moment, hop back into her video, and then you and I'll hop back on. We'll kind of recap what we see and where we think that the business of CBD is going. So without further ado, here is Dr. Alyson Evans.
And this really has been an interesting and very trying time for us as a population, because some of these things are incredibly unavoidable in modern day living. And so these are things that reduce those endocannabinoids in our body. So we now know we have these compounds that fluctuate, that we produce on demand as needed, but we also know that they can become very depleted over time with modern day living. And so I love this quote, which is, modulating endocannabinoid system activity may have therapeutic potential in almost all diseases affecting humans. That's a massive statement. We don't make broad sweeping statements like that typically in medicine ever. And it's probably the most exciting aspect of being in the industry we are in right now, and having an education platform in which we know so little about something we care so much about. So on our list, our very first fringe factor that we are going to tackle is called plants are medicine. That is, for us, our most important compound to start with. And when we started talking about this a couple years ago and really started thinking about the hemp industry and the cannabis industry, I think at that time we had no idea the impact that we would be having today in as we near towards the end of 2021. So plants definitely can change how we care for ourselves and each other. And we are focusing on one of the oldest, if not the oldest, plants known to humankind, a plant that we have literally evolved with since the dawn of time, and that is the hemp plant. And it is definitely a massive part of our history, dating, the dates go 5,000 BC, but it really probably is upwards of 10 to 12,000 years that humans and hemp have coexisted in their environment together. The past 100 years, which is a tiny little blip in the history of humankind, we have had very little access to hemp and cannabis due to regulatory restrictions on studying the plant, using the plant, and essentially learning about the plant. And as those restrictions have been lifted in just the past couple of years, it has been an explosive industry. So the hemp plant is from a family of plants called Cannabis sativa. And I think the nomenclature in the cannabis industry gets confusing very quickly. The hemp plant and cannabis are actually from the same plant. It's just the chemical compound makeup of the plant that give it its different names. So hopefully we'll be able to clear that up for you. There is something inside of the hemp plant that actually makes it fascinatingly related to that endocannabinoid system. And that is that inside of the hemp plant, there are compounds called phytocannabinoids. So unlike endo, in which we make them in our own bodies, phytocannabinoids are made by plants, but they interact with that very same endocannabinoidome or ECS system in our body, and are an amazing thing that we can add into our system to boost the tone of that ECS system or those endocannabinoids. So two compounds found in the hemp plant are CBD and THC. Those are called major cannabinoids because they're found in the largest quantities. When it comes to giving a nomenclature for the rest of the day, I will mainly talk about hemp being a plant that is 0.3% less or less THC and predominantly CBD. It also has hundreds of other compounds inside of the plant. When I speak of cannabis, the more slang term is marijuana. We won't use that. We will use the term cannabis. But typically, if I'm speaking of cannabis, I'm speaking of a plant that is in higher concentrations of THC. Cannabis right now is not federally legal, and hemp is federally legal. So the 2018 Farm Bill allowed that hemp, which is cannabis with 0.3% or less THC, can be used around the country industrially, medicinally, nutritionally, you name it. So that hopefully helps everyone understand the difference in those compounds. This is one of my favorite statements about the hemp plant, is that it is a neglected pharmacologic treasure trove, which is a mouthful. But it's full of all these compounds that we have not been able to study for 100 years, but had been using medicinally for 10,000 years prior to that. And so there's 120 or so cannabinoids, CBD and THC being the most predominant, but there's a lot more. There's over 200 terpenes, which are the compounds that give plants their smells and tastes. And then there's over 20 flavonoids in the hemp plant, which is what gives all sorts of plants and fruits and vegetables their vibrant colors. All of them have health benefits, all are being studied. And I think we can pretty much guarantee that every year we'll be teaching you about all sorts of different cannabinoids and what we're learning. I'm focusing this talk today on CBD. And in general, Fringe as a company and the people on the team at Fringe, we're focused on talking about CBD. It's the predominant compound inside of the hemp plant. It is legal in all 50 states to be using nutritionally, supplementing as medicine. It, for us, has so many health benefits that it's such a great area to pause and focus on the one cannabinoid in the plant that is so dominant and has remained so dominant in the plant through years of breeding and farming practices. So this is our checklist. At the end of this talk today, we should be able to answer these questions. Why use CBD? How is it tested? What type of product should you use? When do you take those products? How much should you take? And at the end of the day, what are you buying? And that, to me, is the checklist for a health professional in bringing a CBD product into their clinic. And it also is the checklist for your patients and your consumers. They should have answers to these questions from their healthcare professional so they know what they're getting as well. So let's talk about why CBD. 3 categories. It is incredibly clinically relevant to what we see as healthcare practitioners in our clinics every day. It's incredibly safe and incredibly effective. So clinically relevant, it should not surprise you that those 3 categories of pain, mental health, and sleep are going to be what we focus on. They are the things that affect the most people worldwide. And they also are a huge opportunity for us to change the story in these becoming incredibly isolated, medicated approaches to care to being something in which we look at the whole person and be able to make a really significant impact on those 3 categories. So when it comes to talking about CBD being clinically relevant, this is some information from our scientific director. It's funny, Genevieve right now, she has been a researcher for 20 years. She is the scientific director for Fringe. And this is a huge passion of hers to be able to sift through all the science and bring an active healthcare provider the information that they need to explain it to their patients. And I quote her often when she says that this is an insanely compelling industry, but also very complex. And so being able to sift through the information and for her to summarize that CBD affects at least 65 molecular targets in our bodies is kind of an overwhelming statement. But it does play an integral role in how we balance all of those other systems inside of our body and essentially how we reach a more balanced state of wellness inside of our bodies as well. CBD does interact with our body's ECS system, and we know that that system has far-reaching effects on our overall health. We need to recognize the fact that CBD having over 65 molecular targets, including receptors, enzymes, ion channels, that is going to be information that we will need to bring to you in digestible bits as we learn more about how it actually works. And our goal is to bring you information in which we separate out bodily systems that we're used to learning: immune system, neurological system, digestive system, respiratory, and bring to you an understanding of how CBD helps in each of those categories. So we look forward to bringing that information to you in the future. The more we learn, the more we realize that this story has really just begun. I think this is my favorite part of the CBD industry right now, and maybe this is my like for being on the fringe of a topic in an industry, which is that in the CBD industry, we have about 10,000 years of clinical experience, patient experience and preferences, and just a few years of research and evidence. So the experience is far outweighing the evidence at this point. But evidence-based medicine is not just research. It is what is of value to the patient, what is the clinician experiencing with the people they are treating, and then what is the evidence that supports what we are actually, learning in this industry. So we have 10,000 or so years of people using the hemp plant medicinally. And now it's our time to catch up. with the research.
All right, Jason, that was Dr. Alyson Evans at Fringe, and we're going to feature quite a few videos from Fringe over the coming weeks and months because they're just putting out such fantastic content. We're going to mix in some other clinical conversations for sure, but my take-home message from that, Jason, is it is just shocking to me about how little we know about something that's been around for basically ever. And I think one of the things that they're doing a fantastic job of is exploring, and continuing to say, hey, here's what we see today. It might be different tomorrow or next week, but here's what we know, and here's how we might be able to apply this to, better health. And I know a specific passion of theirs is in and around the chronic pain issues, et cetera. But what was maybe a take-home message for you on today's clinical conversation?
The take home from me these days is that, ironically, I get emails now on a regular basis. I just saw a new article about a restaurant in New York City that was one of the, most famous restaurants, 11 Madison, is now recently gone all plant-based. And there's just, you kind of can't turn on the television today without seeing the words plant-based. And it's a conversation going on everywhere. So, we present these clinical conversations with a variety of intentions. And I know sometimes people may watch and go, well, we're chiropractors. We shouldn't be doing this. We should be adjusting. And why are you teaching this stuff? And so let's answer that question. The reason we're teaching that stuff is for several reasons. One, you should be knowledgeable about what is being talked about, especially what's trending in the world right now. And plant-based conversations, whether it's plant-based food, plant-based medicine, there's even plant-based fabrics and all kinds of different things that are coming out now these days. Being aware of the conversations that are in your community's minds, above and beyond the C word and all the other insanity going on. Plant-based is a conversation going on. Plant-based medicine, of course, is something that is trending significantly. So I think it's great for our docs. Again, this is the Smart Chiropractor Show. The whole goal is for smart chiropractors to get smarter. And that doesn't mean that you have to use it. It doesn't mean you have to recommend it. It doesn't mean you have to use it in your practice. It means that you should be interested in learning about these types of things. So at the very least, I think it's great to stay well informed. I didn't know that it had been around that long, used that long. And I watched a movie not long ago called Fantastic Fungi on Netflix. Same kind of idea, the miraculousness of how long humans have been engaged in interacting with this plant world, whether it's mushrooms or cannabis or whatever it may be, is truly mind-boggling. You almost can't even kind of calculate it and figure it out. And you almost have to ask yourself, why don't we know more about it these days? But I guess, maybe the Rockefellers and the Flexner Report and the pharmaceutical industry might have something to do with us not hearing about all that. But I love what Alyson's doing. I love the take that she's got. The name Fringe, I think, says, attracts crazies like me and us. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think she's doing a phenomenal job. And I hope chiropractors are learning. And for those of you that do think it's a good idea, there's lots of options out there. There's a lot of confusion about product, which to use, which not to use, why to use it. Fringe is a very unique approach to CBD, which I think is really cool. So I think it was, a great share session, and thanks for bringing it to us.
My pleasure. That's going to wrap up clinical conversations for this week. Our next segment, we are talking research that matters. These are our monthly campaigns and weekly topics within the Smart Chiropractor that you can also take some of this information and utilize for your own practice. We have research that matters coming up now. Welcome to Research That Matters. Each week we come with the Smart Chiropractor Show and talk about clinical conversations as we just did, mindset, research that matters, business principles, marketing, guest interviews, and more. And Research That Matters is where we take a few moments and discuss this week's weekly topic within the Smart Chiropractor. The Smart Chiropractor can help you acquire more new patients, better retention, more reactivations without spending any money on advertising. How do we do that? Well, we think in terms of monthly campaigns, weekly topics, and daily posts, and then we power them for you through all of the most popular channels: social, email, video streaming, and much more. But today we're talking our weekly topic, which is the second week of January. We are into 2022, and our January monthly campaign is about helping you inspire your patients to set themselves up for success in 2022. And the weekly topic is creating smart goals for better health. I'll say that one more time. It's creating smart goals for better health. And you might say, well, is it just that you're using smart because of Smart Chiropractor? That's just a convenient coincidence, because SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And whether you're utilizing that model of SMART goals for your own business goals, as we've discussed a few weeks ago, which is a really good idea, whether you're using them for your own personal health goals, which is a really good idea, it's a great conversation starter, and it's a great way to inspire better health for your patients, your health tribe, your community, and beyond, by providing a framework that will lead to a higher likelihood of success. And that's really what SMART goals are all about. It's creating a framework so that the goal isn't just, I'd like to be a little healthier this year. That's a difficult one to achieve. It's so subjective, right? And it's easy to fall off. But when you create a SMART goal, something that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, now you start to really be able to hone in on what that means. So this week's messaging is around SMART health goals, and I'll give one example, and then I'm very, very curious on Jason's thoughts related to SMART health goals. But something related to being healthier might be, I intend on working out 3 times a week for 30 minutes each time. I want to, go through that over the next 90 days. So there's specificity around that. There's timeliness around that. There's relevance. You would only say 3 days if you thought you could do it. That's the attainable component, and it's measurable. You can set the stopwatch 3 times, 30 minutes each time. I want to do that over the next 90 days. And that would be an example of a SMART goal, which makes it much more likely that it's attainable, or that it will be achieved, I should say, based on the fact that it's created within a framework. It's created within a step-by-step framework that anybody, if you insert the SMART, it gives you the opportunity to, number one, really consider and think about that goal. Obviously become more specific, as the S indicates, and it gives you that playbook, that little bit of step-by-step, in order to be, again, increase that likelihood of achievement. So SMART goals are what our Smart Chiropractors are talking about with their patients all this week. Jason, what are your thoughts on SMART goals as people head into 2022, specifically related to health?
I think it's the perfect topic for chiropractors to be sharing with their communities and talking about in their practices all this month. And the reason is because you mentioned earlier, some people are very vague with their goals. I want to be healthier. Okay, what does that mean? But the other thing that many of them do is they actually speak in terms of their goals being a negative, as in, this year I want to not be sick. And that's not an attainable goal. Being healthy is an attainable goal. So many times people think in terms of avoiding the negative as their positive. So this is a great formula for people to really kind of, use as a sort of basically protocol or a stepping stone. What do I want? Okay, let's get specific about it. How do I measure whether I got there or not? What's an attainable outcome within a certain period of time, and so on. So it's a phenomenal framework. But again, the reason it's important for chiropractors now is because for those of you that are really following our approach here, we're talking about recurring revenue. We're talking about proactive memberships, those that are people are with you for a lifetime as part of a lifestyle, not just a temporary ability to relieve some pain because the drugs don't work and you're convenient, close, and cheap. So if you are looking to build relationship, build connection, build yourself into a place your community can come and count on leadership, accountability, support, help in growing them in order to reach their goals, then you using this structure with your patients gives them the ability to count on you for what they'd like to achieve in 2022 and beyond. So it's a perfect opportunity to sort of say, hey, what are we looking to do? How can we help you all this year so that in January 23, we can look back together as a team. I'm here to be your coach, your supporter, your guide to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. We've got a year to do it between now and next year. That's what every, New Year's resolution season is all about. This is a time for chiropractors to really start getting in and expanding the conversation beyond just pain relief. Does it hurt? It's better. Great. Good. See you when it hurts again. And turn it into, more of a lifestyle coach. Like, where are we going this year? I'm your doctor, and my goal is to keep you as healthy as you can possibly be. Is that your goal too? If so, great. And, give people the opportunity to maybe submit their SMART goals to you. And that gives you the ability to build that type of connection and relationship with your community. Whether you want to do it one-on-one with individual patients, whether you want to make it a special program for those people that perhaps pay extra or do something extra, whether you want to include it as part of perhaps those people that are on whatever you want to call maintenance plans or wellness plans or ongoing plans. You can slice and dice it with people individually if you want to, or you could just teach it. Our motto is teach and invite consistently. So if you're looking for, well, what should I talk about on social media today? I should be doing a video. What should I talk about? The conversation in the world today, every January, throughout as long as we've had a calendar and those types of things, people have been saying, you know what, new year, new you. It's time to sort of pay attention and maybe make some measurable goals between now and next year. So I think it's a great structure and framework for our chiropractors to get out and make a difference in their community.
I agree, and the teach and invite part that you just brought up, I wanna lean into a little bit more because it is so important. I'll transparently say each year around January when our smart chiropractors are getting out there with these conversations, I'm a little nervous because it's not neck, it's not back, it's not sciatica, it's not sports performance. It's a little more soft skill when we're talking about inspiring better health than hardcore anatomy and physiology. However, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is why this is so important, is that it's the definition of teach and invite consistently. As you inspire people to live a healthier life, as you showcase the frameworks of how they can think about having a healthier year, well, talk about building trust, building rapport, and building the opportunity to have a deeper connection. Who are they going to call? The person that they've never heard from that they happen to just find online one day, or somebody that they say, man, this person's got their stuff together. They're out proactively teaching our community how to be healthy. They must know what they're talking about. You build so much credibility. You build a ton of goodwill. And that's the business side. The other side of that is you're going to inspire some people to change their lives. And there's nothing more powerful than that. So while I always get a little bit anxious in January because I know it's a little more soft skill on the campaign side of things, I know that the impact that it makes is so far reaching, so great. And it really powers so many smart chiropractor practices to also hit the ground running as they're able to get a little bit of momentum themselves, creating their own SMART goals, talking about SMART goals. There's that added reinforcement of kind of being in it, which is awesome because it's inspiring then to want to continue on, to take those next steps and to keep the consistency up over time, which is absolutely the most critical component. That's why we automate an overwhelming majority of the tools within the Smart Chiropractor. But as we'll see in a moment, utilizing the video scripts we could provide can be really, really powerful, because it showcases who you are, showcases a little bit of that personality, and there is nothing better when you're making a connection, I'm going to say, than video. It might be the toughest thing for everybody to get started with, but there's not been a single person I've ever spoken with that has been sorry they did so. So hopefully we can inspire you out there to hop on, tune in, keep tuning in to the Smart Chiropractor Show each and every Tuesday as we talk down these topics which can really make an impact on your practice and your community. But without further ado, Jason, I think we should get right into member highlights. So let's move over to our member highlight section for this week's episode of the Smart Chiropractor Show. All right, member highlights this week in the Smart Chiropractor Show. This is the segment where we take a moment and highlight what our Smart Chiropractor members are up to. And many of them are really getting rocking this year. There's no other way to put it. Getting out there, teaching and inviting consistently, taking the tools that we provide, using the automations as their foundation, and taking it to the next level by doing things like we'll see right now by Dr. Seth, which is just down the road from Jason out in Marin County. So without further ado, I'm going to have Dr. Seth take it away. Then Jason and I hop back in and we'll talk about actionable items that you can take away from Dr. Seth's video to maybe improve video in your own practice starting today.
Hey everybody, Dr. Seth with the Cafe of Life Chiropractic Center. Hey, it's Testimonial Tuesday. This month, remember, we are talking about how to move your energy from exhausted to energized. And today is Testimonial Tuesday. So we're going to be talking about one of our patients, L. James specifically, and I can mention her name because she did a Google review and it's already public knowledge, talking about how chiropractic is so much more than just pain relief. And this is her experience. So let's take a closer look and kind of see what it is that she said. I've been an advocate for chiropractic work for 21 years. As a lover of athletics, it has been pivotal in realigning my foundation, relieving extreme pain, discomfort, and helping me back to health. I know our state of health affects every area of our life, and we can truly make or break us. In 2019, it was a life-threatening accident that left me disabled with a severe bone infection. Since then, I've had a series of operations on my legs and back. I've moved to Mill Valley to be close to my doctors, and the marathon journey back to health, and was referred to Cafe of Life by 3 other amazing doctors, which is awesome that other doctors are referring to me, especially surgeons and primary healthcare physicians.
And that was Dr. Seth out in Cafe of Life in Marin County. He is doing a fantastic job. One thing I want to point out right there, Jason, is he kept it simple. He went on to his Google reviews. He read the Google review. There is probably no better way to get a Testimonial Tuesday shipped and out the door than head over to the reviews and testimonials that you already have. What were some of your thoughts on what Dr. Seth put together?
That's it. Done is better than perfect. And that's really what it's all about. It's teach and invite consistently. And it's just making sure that you show up and, put in the hours, put in the reps, get content out there. We're, practicing what we preach as well. This is not the most refined. It's not scripted perfectly. It's not, down to the second. This is not a Hollywood production. This is us authentically doing our best to teach and invite you all consistently about why you should be teaching and inviting your community consistently. So it's just a matter of getting it done to the best of your ability. Our motto is a good something is better than a perfect nothing. And it's, we're going to keep showing great examples. And when I say great examples, we don't mean perfect examples. We mean examples of people getting it done. And Seth is, if I mean this with all due love, and Seth is like a brother of mine. If he can do it, you can do it. I mean, he just doesn't have he doesn't have a cape. He doesn't have any super skills. He wasn't born in Hollywood or any, special ability to do something you're not capable of doing. So these are all examples. We'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The simple way reason we keep putting this information out there, especially around these types of specific examples, is because, we're inspired by the story of Roger Bannister and the 4-minute mile. And in a nutshell, the concept is for thousands of years, nobody had ever measured anyone running a mile in 4 minutes or less. Never happened before. And one day, Roger Bannister did it. Through visualization, through repetition, through probably had a whole SMART goal thing going on there for himself, finally breaks it. But what was fascinating about the story is that months after the first person broke it, hundreds of people started breaking it as well. And that's really the spirit and motivation of why we're showing you these examples, because it is a mindset first. Many of you are like, I'm a chiropractor. I'm not a social media influencer. I'm not, cute like all those cute guys and girls that are out there doing the videos, getting thousands of views and stuff. That won't work for me. The reality is there's all kinds of people with all kinds of looks and all kinds of messages around the world that are reaching tens, hundreds, thousands, in some cases, millions of people through these technologies. And so the name of the game, if you want to attract more people that are interested in your style of practice. That's just not interested in chiropractic, but interested in your style of practice. And that's really the main difference and distinction in what we're trying to bring to our community, is that if you're just putting out generic chiropractic, you have a problem. And the reason you have a problem is because people don't know what it is. You can line up 10 chiropractors in front of a single chiropractor, and the single chiropractor will have no idea what all 10 of those chiropractors do, even though we're all chiropractors. Go figure. You don't know if they adjust. You don't know if they don't adjust. You don't know if they use modalities. You don't know if they take insurance, cash, short-term care plans, long-term care plans. Do they recommend other things, not recommend other things? You have no idea by just going, I'm a chiropractor, come in for chiropractic care. It's just too vague. It's like saying, I'm a lawyer, come in for legal advice. Well, what kind of lawyer are you? Is this a criminal case? You have no idea. So teach and invite consistently and following these protocols and these mindsets are designed to give your community an understanding of who you are. They get to know who you are. We had a segment in our mindset segment that said, be, do, have. Who are you being? That's what people want to understand in order to know that's the kind of person I want to choose as my doctor. And so I think you did a great job, super resourceful, easy to come up with, a paralysis by analysis, because you're like, which testimonial should I use? Who should I recommend? I don't have anybody who signed a release. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, there's a patient. Forget it. I won't do it. And then you end up not doing it. So bravo to Seth. Thanks for getting it done. Great example. We'll keep bringing them. Thanks for choosing that one.
My pleasure. And my action step for everybody watching would be, check out your own testimonials and reviews on Google or on your website. Hop on video and read one, just build a little bit of that momentum. You can rewind this video, check out what Seth did. Again, it's really just about more of your ideal patients and how does somebody choose you? As Jason was saying, it's about getting out there and showing a little bit of who you are, a little bit about the other people that are in your practice. And then that starts to build that culture internally. So read a review or testimonial, get out there today. Hopefully we inspired you to take some action in today's member highlight section. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Chiropractor. We are posting videos on how you can market your chiropractic practice in a way that teach and invites consistently. We have found that is the magic formula to big time growth. So if you like this video, be sure to comment down below, smash that subscribe button, or visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.